Okay, this next assignment, we call it number 11A, is where you learn to replace a background of a picture. And you might have done this previously to getting to this assignment, not just in this class, but other classes that you've done Photoshop with. Basically, what you're going to try to do is take two pictures, this little boy named Parker, and some other picture, combine them into one. And the way that I'm going to show you is probably something you haven't done before. It's going to be using a mask layer, and it actually is a pretty simple way and very quick way to complete this. Um, so you're going to turn in, so follow along with the tutorial. You're going to do the steps and turn in at the end of this assignment your completed picture. Um, the first thing you're going to have to do is get a download of from the download assignment folder of one of these pictures, the Buffalo Many, the Sylvan Lake picture, or the trail. These are all pictures of mine that are been taken out in the Black Hills, and so you are going to pick one of those, and you will download it. And then you need a picture of you, and you need to pose however you want to for this picture. Base your pose on this picture that you selected. If you selected Buffalo Many, Sylvan Lake, or the trail, um, here they are. Here's Buffalo Many, Sylvan Lake, or the trail. Um, if you want to make it look like you are swimming in the lake, then you need to pose in a position that makes you look like you're swimming on the lake. If you want to look like you're climbing this wall, then you got to pose in such a position so that it looks like you're climbing that wall. So stop the video and then come back and pick the video up after you get that done. Okay, so you've got your two pictures. Now, just a couple before you get started, if you don't get the project done, make sure that you save this as a Photoshop file. Again, use whatever name you want. The reason it's going to be saved as a Photoshop file is because you will be creating layers and you want to preserve those layers. Note that in the end, the Photoshop file will not be turned in. You will be turning in a screenshot. Okay. And just remember, keep following along this tutorial, pause when you need to. Um, and after that, you should be good to go. This is basically what you want when you're done. Okay. So let's go to Photoshop and let's open up the two pictures that you want. So I'm going to open up my buffalo picture first. And there I have it. And you can see over there, that'll be identified as my background for now. That'll change in just a minute. The second picture that you want has to be done through Place Embedded. And so I'm going to take the picture of the little boy. This is my nephew. His name is Parker. And so I'm going to use him. This would be you. So you are opening the picture of you. And you place that on as a place embedded object. And then you can either enter or click the check mark to set that picture. Okay. Now, over here in the layers panel, we need to, because we're going to do some editing, we do not want to leave this as the background picture. So we're going to unlock it and then double click the name of the layer and rename it. I'm just going to call mine a buffalo. If yours is Buffalo Many or the hiking trail, call it whatever you want. And then you want to make sure that the order of these layers is that you are the first layer, okay? Because we want to keep you and we're going to get rid of the background and we want the buffalo background or whatever background you picked to come through. So if your layers are not in the right order, like this is not buffalo little boy, I got to rearrange those so that the picture of you is actually on top. Okay? Again, pause the video when you need to or rewind it and go back. Now, the next step that you want to do is we want to select the portion of you that we want to keep. Okay? And so we're going to use the selection tool of the object select. And we've done this before, so not a lot of explanation is needed. I'm going to draw a box around the portion of the picture I want to keep. That'll be the little boy. For you, it'll be the picture of you. And when that gets done, okay, as we do with every assignment now, when we make selections, we clean them up. So you're going to click on the select and mask, and you're going to go in, and your view should be on overlay. Okay, that makes it pink. And remember to zoom in on the picture of you. Use the third brush from the top, add and take away the pink in the picture until you get it perfect. So I'd suggest now you pause the video and do your cleanup work. And then when you're done, come back to the video and we'll continue on. Okay, so now you should have your picture all cleaned up and ready to go. So you want to make sure that your output to selection over here, output to is on selection, and then you click OK. All right. And so now the picture of you should be all cleaned up and should be ready to go. Okay. All right. So now we want to do the part where we start removing the background. And what we actually are going to do is apply what's called a mask layer. Okay. Um, and to do that, we first of all have to have the object that we want to keep in the picture selected. And you come down here to the layers panel, and it's this button right here. It says add a layer mask. When you click it, it immediately takes you into what you actually want to happen. Is it removes the background from the picture of you, and we can now see through that background to the background picture of the buffalo. Now don't worry about where you are, we'll take care of that in just a minute. If you look over here in your layers panel, it's created this little black mask layer. Okay, the black of this little thumbnail that you see here represents the part that basically you don't want. So if you remember the original picture, this little boy was standing in a parking lot with a bunch of trees and a fence behind him. So that's what this black part represents, the part we don't want. The white part, the little boy, in this case it's you, is the stuff that we want to keep. Okay, so that's what you see there. And you'll see between these two pictures here, there's a little chain link. That just means that if you move the picture of the boy, the mask will move with it. So let's try that. If I click on the move tool and I move the little boy over to this part of the picture, then the mask, see that? It moves within the mask as well. Okay. If I want to move the little boy down here to the bottom of the picture, the mask then repositions him. And so the chain link leaves those things together and allows me to move them. And you can move yourself wherever you would like. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I'm too big or too small, then that's the edit menu, free transform. Now remember how to keep it proportional. Okay. And keep yourself proportional, and then move yourself wherever it is that you want to be. Make yourself the size that you want to be. Remember to click the enter or the check mark upon completing that. Now, there is one more thing that kind of comes in handy with what you just did. You might notice around your picture maybe a little bit of a white halo around the edging or some other kind of little tiny little imperfection along the edge. Okay, there's a way to actually fine tune that. Okay, so we're going to keep our selection on this picture, this layer of you. Okay. And what we're going to do, um, click on the one, two, three, that selection tool where you have object select. That's all you have to do is click it. And let's go back into this select and mask. Okay, we've been here before, and that was when we needed this on overlay to create that opportunity for you to really fine tune the way that your picture was going to look. And when we did the output, we did it to, I believe it was the selection or the layer. Yeah, selection. Okay. Well, now we're going to change this view to what's called on layers. We want to view this layer as masked by the selection. When we do that, you should be able to come down here. I'm just going to click somewhere to close that up to the global refinements. And it looks like smooth, feather, contrast. There's nothing changed. But if you take and you can kind of mess with all these. I'm going to go right down to shift edge. If I start moving that to the right, it kind of shifts the edge of or to the left of what I selected. And you can see if you got really good eyes, and you might have to uh, zoom in. I'm going to try smooth a little bit. It might give you just a little bit more perfection of your image, or if it has that little white halo, you actually can get rid of it if you play around with these levers enough. Sometimes the contrast is what you need. You can really see, look at that. I can even almost create a duplicate of the little boy if I change the contrast too much. When you do that, then your output, um, that you have here has to not be on a selection, but on the layer mask. Okay, so that's a change from what we originally did. Normally we do this as overlay and clean up our picture using the plus and the minus, and then we output this to the selection here. But because we're doing something different, we are viewing this as the layers, and we want to output it to the layer mask. And when you click OK, then it'll take those fine tune adjustments that you made and apply them to your picture. Okay. Now, you're going to want to save this as a Photoshop file. Okay. That's the PSD file. Okay. Call it whatever you want. Okay. Save it wherever you want. This you will not turn in. I'm going to cancel mine. You go ahead and save yours. By saving it as a Photoshop file, then you preserve these layers so that you can come back later, open it up, and let's say you wanted to do, add another layer in there or something else. So it would allow you to keep all those layers in there. You're going to do a screenshot of the entire window so I can see the layers panel, and that's what you're going to turn in. Probably in real life, you would do an export as a export as a JPEG. We are not going to do that. The reason we're not going to do that is because I can't see the layers panel, and I have to see the layers panel in order to give you a grade for this assignment. Okay. All right. Good luck.